critical thing is to make sure that you heat it up enough to lift, but not start it on fire. And you've got about a 4-second window of opportunity to do that. So
wait, just for reference sake, where is the closest fire extinguisher? Oh, there it is. Okay,
right there.
There.
Yes.
All right.
Good to know. There's one over there.
One over there too. All right, good to know.
This is going to be a little different because just got to get right down into. Let me cut through here to get right down to the wood instead of just onto the fabric. You can see this is the fabric underneath. This is the automotive paint covering that one over top of it, and then it's fabric, and we want to get through the fabric right down to the wood.
Okay.
So if we'll just hold for a moment, I just want to grab my gloves and a knife.
Good idea. While you're doing that, I'll shoot some video of the rest of the work you've done. So Doug's pretty much single-handedly stripped this vampire. Like the firewall, you can see. So when I just shot the video last week, this side wasn't complete. Now it is. So there really isn't much work left to do, is there, Doug?
Well,
stripping at least.
It's hard. It's funny to say. The easy stuff is now done. so
that was the easy part. You've been working pretty hard.
There's a couple pieces of trim yet to come off, and then a little bit of go back around and pull off a few pieces of fabric that are still glued to some of the edges. But then beyond that, there are still a couple of pieces on the side that have to come off.
Gotcha.
And then it's going to be moving on to the next steps, which are, understand, are going to have to prep the fuselage itself, and then it's time for material to go on it. And that's where Andre is going to be the expert, because he's done this before.
He's done it before, yeah.
Warbirds. I don't think he's covered a plywood one, but he at least has significant experience with fabric, and it's a modern fabric that's going on. It's not going to be dope and linen.
The Irish linen you're talking about? Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
So it's going to be exciting to work through that process.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch.
Yep.
Right.
And then the fun begins to put it all back together. So,
well, one step at a time.
So I'm going to actually, I know this is open underneath, so I'm going to slice right into this.
Yeah, for those of you watching, this is actually the starboard gun port door. So we think what we're cutting open actually is like an ejection port for shell casings, most likely.
And it would be a good place to start from.
Yeah, exactly. So you can cut through it.
There we go. There you go. You can see the wood underneath.
Yeah,
so
exactly. That's very cool.
Get my gloves back on. And the technique involves heating it up, and then with this piece of fiber wedging underneath and just getting it going. But if you can get it going,
you can almost get a run going or whatever.
You can get a fairly nice piece off.
Okay.
Now we don't have all the trim off of this, but at least we can get a sense of what it's like to get the fabric off itself. So gloves on. We know where the fire extinguisher is.
Yep, over there and there. Well, we might just be recording our deaths for the...
Well, the insurance companies will like it.
Yeah, they'll love it. They'll really appreciate it.
Yep. The gun itself heats up very quickly, so it won't take long to loosen up.
You're just trying to heat up the adhesive underneath, basically.
That's exactly, and this goes right through all of the layers of everything that's there, and you can see.
Oh yeah, okay.
That it actually comes off fairly briskly.
Oh yeah.
But even here, it's stopped, and if I heat the thing up,
and that's the original linen underneath too, right?
You can see that, that's the linen underneath that's been covered. So you can actually see.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's 60-year-old linen.
These are the dangerous pieces as well, because the little bits of fabric,
Mm-hmm.
they start on fire in about 3 seconds.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just a heat up. You can see where the fabric is starting to lift.
Yeah, that's quick.
And once you get that, you can actually get a piece going.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of tear it a little bit, and then help it along, go in front of it. You can see how smoothly it actually comes up.
Yeah, yeah.
You can see this was one big patch that was put right over top.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So actually that's a...
Yeah, looks about 20 mil size, cannon size.
I'm sure that was the ejection.
Yeah, totally. That was probably where the link came. That where the link came out, and that's where the shell came out. Yeah, makes sense.
And once you get the hang of doing this, you actually get fairly good chunks off at a time. It's interesting, Andre and I were looking at the construction of the gun port, gun bay doors. If you look, the wood is darker. We almost think it almost looks more mahogany versus...
Yeah, you know, I was thinking the same thing, because that looks like balsa. I think it's balsa wood, wasn't it? Or something with plywood, I'm not sure. Maybe they need something harder or something more water or weather resistant. Could be teak even. I don't know. Might have been whatever they had in stock at the time too. Well, that's great, Doug.
There you go.
Thanks. Appreciate the demo.
You can see, just working away at it, this door here, steadily worked at, probably could be done in an hour-ish.
Yeah, for sure.
So once the rest of the trim pieces come off, these ones...
well, they're popper fitted, aren't they?
Yeah. No, these ones aren't. These are bolted.
Okay, bolted on. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I took the ones off the belly,
Mm-hmm.
so there must be some accessory, so they'll come off.
Cool.
These are going to have to come off as well. But yeah, you can see, and again, the wood underneath is actually in quite good condition.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Oh,
I'm amazed.
there you have it.
All right. Well, thanks. Thanks for the demo.
So the latest progress we got on the Vampire, as you see, Doug here has gotten the paint and most of the glue and stuff off. We're just at the final stages now where we're just touching everything up. And then we'll do a quick skim coat with some Bondo wood filler and make it nice and smooth. And then we will Varathane it all and then cover it with the fabric and then put the dope on it and then repaint it. Put our new Vampire face on and veil it to the public.
I'm trying to keep it quiet.
Oh, sorry.
What we're going to do is we're going to chalk paint it, and then we're going to antique it and distress it, and then we can charge twice the amount of money that it's actually worth.
Whatever you guys want to put a spin on, that's fine with me.
Perfect, perfect. Thanks for the update. Okay, Doug, give us a brief rundown here.
Okay, very brief rundown. We've got our aircraft stripped. We've covered it with a couple of coats of varnish. We're now at the point where we want to put some fabric on it and get it back to where it's supposed to be. I've covered some of the sharp edges here with strips of fabric and the dope. This is what the fabric looks like when we started. It's a modern fabric now. It's not the Irish linen. Irish linen that you used to cover them with. It's the modern fabric. We're going to be moving through this smartly. Covered the sharp edges. We're going to put the strips down. Once we get the strips down and it doped on, we're going to take a heat gun to it. It's going to suck and go very smooth, very taut, and we'll be able to take it from there, mount it back on the aircraft, and get it painted up in the scheme that we want to use for the 2018 flying year.
Yeah, exactly, the very, very interesting scheme. So that's what's quick.
Is all of that going right in the garbage, Doug, or are we keeping that brush?
No, they're one shots.
One shot?
So you're basically just wetting the fabric with the dope.
That's exactly it. Put some dope down on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then basically saturate the fabric itself. Try and get the outside edge to stick first.
Mm-hmm.
Just let it dry for a minute or two.
And it's pretty quick drying?
Yeah, it doesn't take too long.
Yes.
It's not totally dried, but it's
so this
pretty
is
much dry.
Basically this is like a micro scale of what's going to be happening to the whole skin.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it's going to be very interesting when we're doing.
So we have the first bit of Seekonite fabric being applied to the fuselage of the Vampire. Doug here is studied up, done all his homework, and still doesn't know what he's doing.
I'm nervous.
Yeah, we're all nervous. It'll be good. It'll be good. We know how to strip a Vampire very, very well, so if we screw it up, we can always pull it off. But that looks good. So we're putting on super seam, which is basically a compound, a glue compound that goes along. It's super strong, and it goes basically where all the seams are, as the name would imply. And then underneath, we'll put after that's all sealed up, we'll put the dope on. So we're just seaming the aircraft right now. Dope to follow. Should be pretty cool. So here you can see we've spread the seam sealer underneath on the wood, and now we're just basically pushing the adhesive through the Seekonite fabric. And this stuff dries very quickly, so we got to work pretty quickly, and we're just doing the seam, so the dope will go underneath the rest of the wood here. So here Doug is working the dope into the fabric. We painted on underneath, brush there, and then now we're just pushing basically the liquid of the dope through the actual fabric and then pushing it down as tightly as we can. This is just first step. There'll be other steps with heat gun and fabric iron, etc., that kind of make it all taut and perfect. So what we're working on today is we have the Seekonite fabric already on the aircraft and glued down with the first layer of dope and seam sealer. And so we've just identified some few areas. If you come in a bit closer, you can see where there's a little bit of excess fabric, as it were. So basically I have an iron, and it's just like any normal iron you have at your house, except it's designed to work with the fabric. And so what we do is we're actually heating up this fabric very gently and keeping the iron moving. And what that does is the heat actually causes the fabric to kind of shrink. So it just basically causes these little wrinkles here to disappear, if you can see that clearly. Very slowly. Some of them more stubborn than others, but this one's coming up pretty good. So yeah, there was a pretty significant wrinkle there before, and now it's gone. So we've been working on, basically from the nose of the aircraft, working back towards the engine bay. We got a couple spots here in the, where the tape is marking where the seam sealer didn't quite stick. So we're going to inject that with a syringe and some seam sealer and just work it in gently. We'll let that stick and then let it dry overnight, and then we'll come back and iron an airplane again. Thanks. Guys, so we're here at the hangar today, and Doug and John are just working away on the Vampire. Doug, you want to give me a rundown of what you guys are doing here today?
So today is a busy day. What we're doing, as you can see here, John is actually putting the second coat of dope on the side on top of the Seekonite fabric that we laid on probably about a week and a half ago, and the guy behind the camera, Steve, took the better part of a couple days to ironed all the wrinkles out. We have an iron on the other side, but now we're in the process of putting the second coat of dope on it, and once this is done, we're going to have to go back and put a third coat of dope on it, and then we can trim some of the edges off here. It actually it looks a little messy if you're looking at it on the camera, but to be honest with you, the side is extremely smooth. And then once we get the extra coat of dope on it, and then it gets its finish on it, it's going to look some pretty. We still have a few things to do, like we've got a couple of, this is a ground power unit opening here. This is going to have to be sliced out, and then the edges glued down. We have another, I believe that's an access port to some of the fixtures for the landing, the nose wheel. So that's going to have to, same with that, and then we're going to have to put an extra strip of the Seekonite fabric along here to cover up this seam between the main piece of sheet on the side and the singular piece of sheet on the nose. And this was done because of the compound angles here. It was extremely difficult to try and do this all in one sheet.
Yeah.
But it's going to look some pretty when it's done.
Good stuff. So what are we working on over here on the other side?
And so there we are on the port side and the starboard side. Got the fabric all ready to go. We just put a layer of dope on the bottom on the wood, and we're going to go back up, and we're going to now in one shot put this on from the back to the front, and it's going to come up to about here or thereabouts. The top edges, we're going to use some super seam seal, which is more resilient than the dope we're using, and it's the perfect stuff for an edge, because once you get that stuff on, it's not coming off, which is exactly the thing you want on an aircraft that's got its intakes right here. The last thing we would ever want to
absolutely
is have an issue with the fabric. There's going to be no issues with the fabric. This side is ready to go. It's exciting, and hopefully a few hours from now we'll be able to see the fabric is on this side.
Yeah, we'll take some pictures and put it up afterwards, so
and we're
can see
making great progress. So
good.
Once we get that and the nose on, then it's going to be time to start reassembling it.
Yeah, that's gonna be the fun part.
She's going to be pretty when she's done, because we've got a really exciting paint scheme that's more to come on that a little bit later.
Yeah, we're not saying
It's
anything.
going to be worth the look when you get a chance to see it.
Yeah, it'll put smiles on many faces, that's for sure. If those of you wondering, the guy underneath there is Gord. He's one of our maintenance pros, and he's running around because he doesn't like, he's camera shy. He's also got a mask on. Anyways, he's working on the hydraulics and the oxygen canister, which is all underneath here. Very well British designed. It's very difficult to get at. He's having lots of fun. There's lots of curse words going on down there, but I'll spare you that. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, John.
98% of the work done on the Vamp, and it should be up in the air within, if we're lucky, the next 3 days.
3 days, 3 days.
Lots of activity in the last week again. We've got the hood on finally. It was exciting trying to work the seals because they're brand new seals in it, and because they're brand new they didn't want to quite compress as much as we'd like to, but lots of work done yesterday and they're working out well. All of the doors and fittings are on, save and accept for the gun bay doors, and the seals will go on tomorrow, and hopefully the doors will be hung possibly even tomorrow afternoon. We've got just a little bit of detailing to do after that, and then what comes next after that, which is going to wait for the big reveal later on this week, is the artwork that's going on it. That is going to be historically correct to Canadian Air Force, and we think it's going to be really exciting. In fact, it's going to be like flypaper at air shows. People are going to flock around it. It's going to be really cool, and stay tuned because you're going to be really excited to see what it looks like.